James has just been drafted by the LA Lakers in the second round with the 55th pick. So that is something a lot of people were talking about. I kind of expected it, but hoped the Lakers would not be that dumb. But alas, they were. What do you think, Levi?
I believed it was going to happen, and you see all the mock drafts and all the stuff that people were putting out there about how he was going to go, and I don't know. I believed that was going to happen. I figured that would be the case, but I don't know. Just to see it real, and like LeBron and Bronny are going to be playing together next year. That's crazy to me, dude. That's crazy.
I remember Bronny as a little kid sitting courtside at the Heat games back when he was probably like 6. Now he's in the league.
I don't know, man. I respect the decision they made by drafting him and everything, and I understand LeBron has a lot to do with that, but I don't see that being the right pick at all.
See, I don't respect it at all. Because to me, if you're the Lakers, you shouldn't have to kowtow to LeBron. You're the second best franchise in the NBA. You're bigger than one player. You shouldn't just do moves like that to make him happy.
Exactly. Like that just in this.
And Bronny should not have been drafted. No. He averaged 4 points a game. Like he does not deserve to be drafted by any team.
Blew my mind. Yeah, exactly. Like I could see it if he was to be drafted in like one of the last rounds that they have. But, like one of the last picks of the draft, but not as high up in the second round. That mind boggles me.
No, he wasn't even high up in the second round. He was one of the last picks. I don't think he should be picked at all.
No, I don't see that at all. Like, I'm right there with you.
I mean, the guy that got drafted ahead of him, like, Bronny was 55th out of 60 picks.
That's right.
The guy that got drafted 54 by the Celtics averaged 14.5 points a game.
Yeah, Watson.
Bronny averaged 4.
That's crazy to me. It's
like
4.2 points per game.
Yeah, imagine you're some dude at Georgetown or Gonzaga or wherever who averaged 12 points a game, and some dude averaging 4 got picked over you.
I don't know. It's just, the draft this year was there was no like skilled players that are gonna like generational talents. You always hear about like, oh, he's a generational talent, or this draft has a really good group of people. This draft is just like,
this draft sucks. And of course, it's the draft that sucks where the Hawks get the first pick.
Like, how many points is that kid averaging overseas?
It was something like, I don't know, 7 to 13 points a game, something like that. Like, not eye-popping numbers at all.
That could be even the last bench player in, like, a certain roster. Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? No one, even the last players on the bench are probably going to average higher than that anytime you give them an opportunity to put them in. You know, like, if you give these kids an opportunity to fresh off the draft, there's no way they're putting up more than 5 points a game. None of them.
Yeah. How bad is it going to look to see Bronny get dogged the first game? He gets to play in.
It's one of those situations where I truly feel like, and they've already said he won't go back and forth, but he's just going to be sitting on the bench the whole time. Like he'll have garbage minutes. He'll be a garbage playing, like just a garbage play collector for his first, I would say at least 2 years. At least 2 years.
I don't think he'll ever be more than that.
Yeah, I mean I
think he was a role pick for LeBron.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's like, and then once LeBron retires, like, I don't know, I think he'll just have his one shining moment, and like him and LeBron have a couple moments together, and then LeBron's like, I'm out. Like, especially if they don't make the playoffs this year.
And they're not going to.
No, that's what.
I mean, what moves have they made to improve their roster next year when they had this?
They had
JJ Redick was the missing piece this entire time.
They needed him. Like, what if he just like shoots up and he's like, I don't want to be a player coach this year. Screw it.
Yeah, it's like with the 55th pick of the draft, the Lakers select JJ Redick to be the first player coach in 50 years.
What? What the hell?
JJ looks over at LeBron like, you really thought I was going to draft Bronny? You thought I was that dumb?
That's my roster spot, boy.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. But yeah, I don't
know, man. I saw some people were joking around saying the Celtics should draft Bronny just to troll with the Lakers.
Yeah, that would be crazy, like the Clippers. Like just
Yeah, dude, that'd be
or something
hilarious.
like that. Drafts Bronny, like the Heat. That would be crazy. Cleveland. Go Cavs, baby, go Cavs.
Yeah.
We got LeBron again. We got LeBron again.
The Prince return.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I don't know, man. This draft has just been tragic. Like I barely know anyone. I don't really like college basketball. Just like we talked about this a few times, college basketball is just nowhere near as exciting and as good as it once was. You know, like even with March Madness, like it still wasn't. There was nothing that stood out. No cats that like really stood out.
Oh, absolutely. When you look at the draft, and at least I would say a fourth of the players drafted in the top 2 rounds weren't even from NCAA basketball.
Right.
It just shows you how poor the state of college basketball has gotten.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. It makes you wonder how much longer the college basketball really has until like these people just really start understanding. I'm not even going to go to school. If I am going to go to school, it's for the NIL, and I'm getting out of there like Bronny did. His first year, he's just like, I'm done, you know. And there was a kid who entered the draft. He was like a sophomore, averaged 0.4 points per game, and still stayed in the draft. And like, you know, didn't want to go back to school or anything like that. Still had like 2 years left of eligibility. Said, screw it, I'm staying in the draft. It's like I don't understand what's gotten in the kid's head to make them think that they can just go to the league and do whatever they want.
I mean, it's just a get-rich-quick scheme. That's all they are trying to do. Which, I mean, more power to them. If you've got a team willing to pay you $5 million to average 0.4 points, like, well, I don't know how much rookies make, but it's not that much. But let's say they'll pay you $500,000 a year to average 0.4 points.
Yeah,
like, you're 22 years old. Like, yeah, bet. Sign me up for that. I'll leave off right now.
Exactly, and it just like it kind of bothers me that that's how the way the basketball is these days, and the shape that it's gotten into is like you're saying, it's just to get rich quick and then I'm out. Like I'm gonna get my first check, or I'm gonna get my first few checks. See ya. Like I'm gonna make my annual salary for 1 year, and then I'm gonna go do whatever I want. It's just stupid. Like, it really is stupid.
Even when you get to the more talented players, you'll see them whenever it's time for them to have a contract year coming up. All of a sudden, they're putting up superstar numbers, and then they sign their Supermax deal, and they slack off.
Yeah.
And it's really clear, like, who in the league plays for rings and who plays for money. Like, you get a Ben Simmons, who I haven't heard a peep out of Ben Simmons since he signed his last contract. I mean, is he still in the Nets, right?
I think so. I want to say yes, that he still plays for him, but he does. Yeah, he does. He does.
Yeah. And I mean, like, he's going to make a good living for the next.
Oh, he already has. He already has.
But he's not going to win anything.
It's like now, though, like with like Paul George, for example. Do you see him going to Golden State when they let up Klay Thompson and he gets a supermax from Golden State?
Might
like,
as well.
Just I know, but I just as a team, why would you do that? Like, why? I mean, I know Paul George is one of the top players, but to give him a supermax and like I don't know, it's crazy at how they're so money hungry.
I don't think Paul George deserves a supermax. No. To me, if you're a supermax level player, that means that you should be a franchise.
Really, Jokic,
That's what I think of when I think
of supermax. Yeah, like Jokic.
Yeah, like Steph Curry, that's a supermax player. Yeah. I don't think LeBron is a supermax player anymore, unless you're just trying to give him a lifetime achievement contract.
Curry definitely had, like, he was the supermax player, but now I still don't even know if he, like, at this point in his career and all that they've done together, I just don't think he's looking at the league the same way as he used to either. And, like, I don't blame him, but at the same time, like, I don't know. Y'all have 4 titles, and it's like, why continue to stop? You know, like, I don't care about the money at this point. You know, like, these last 3 years or something, they could have easily built up the Warriors to take on 7 rings, like, you know, but they didn't, and they kind of fumbled the bag. I feel like, especially like letting KD go and everything. I understood, you know, you understand that that's a one-time thing, that's a 1-year deal, but
I mean, I don't even think they fumbled the bag with KD so much as KD's just
He's just the way.
the most confusing NBA superstar of all time. Because there's no real reason he should have left Golden State other than the fact that he wanted to prove a point that he could win on his own without the Warriors. And he hasn't proved jack.
And that's what, like, it's crazy to me is you have him and then, like, James Harden, like, those guys who really have the potential to be champions, like, multiple top champions, who just, all they wanted to do was run to a team with the most amount of money because they thought they could do it on their own. It's like, it's crazy to me how they did that. It's like James Harden with the Rockets. He had such potential to maybe not win rings in Houston, but he could have built.
No, dude, that 2017 year when, or maybe it was 2018, that year when they went 0 from 27 from 3, and they had the Warriors in the Game 7 of the conference finals, they should have won the championship.
They should have won that. Like, there's no reason. Like, they had such a badass team. Like, they had the potential to do that, but then it's like they lose that game, and then they're like, well, nobody cares anymore. Screw it. I'm just gonna go play with someone else. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, what are you like?
Yeah, that Rockets team is the best team I've ever seen to not win a ring.
They were crazy. Like, Harden was legitimately #1 player in the league that year, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, dude, that MVP, those numbers he was putting up, people were comparing him to Michael Jordan, and it was a serious comparison. And now, I mean, like, looking back, it's funny to think that people were doing that, but I mean, that's how good he was. That step back, dude, I would sit and practice a James Harden step back for like an hour a day.
He used to make me wish I was left-handed. Like, I wish I was left-handed sometimes just so I could hit that step back like he did.
If I have kids and I'm training them up in sports, dude, I'm training them to be ambidextrous. Because being a lefty is just so much of a power move. And no matter what sport you play, you have an advantage.
You do. And, like, it doesn't matter what it is either. That's the best part because you can play both sides.
Now, this kind of segues pretty nice into our next topic, but do you subscribe to the mindset that if you're having to sub in a pinch hitter, you always pick somebody who's the opposite hand of the pitcher?
Yeah, definitely. You never want to give the pitcher the advantage. And, you know, like if left-handed pitcher's up, I want a right-handed batter because the ball's coming at him, so he has a better opportunity to take it the other way. Like, that's another thing people don't understand is you never really, like, when a pinch hitter situation comes up, you kind of always want the ball to go the other way. So the base runner has a better opportunity to get to where he needs to faster. Like, if you can hit just to the 5-6 hole, or right over the third baseman's head, right over the first baseman's head, 9 times out of 10, that runner from first is getting third. So, yeah, I've always been adamant about if there's a righty on the mound, bring me a lefty. If there's a lefty on the mound, I need a righty bat. You know.
Do you know why left-handed hitters are considered to have a pretty decent-sized advantage over right-handed hitters?
It's the size of,
just generally.
Size of something to do with, like, the field, and, like, the right field side is smaller.
Yeah, so if you think about how a left-handed hitter would swing, when he's swinging, he already steps forward to hit the ball and is in stride to keep running and go straight to first base. So by the time he swings the bat, he's already got one step first.
That makes sense.
Yeah, whereas if you're a righty, you're stepping away from first base, and you have to adjust and go over yourself. So it's like a really small thing that maybe makes like 1 second of a difference, but that 1 second is many times we've seen Bobby Cox ejected over a call. It can make a difference.
It makes a huge difference, and then, you know, it's like at that point you're playing chess, not checkers. Like, then you're really getting into the mindset of like, okay, I'm being very tactical with all my decisions. I'm going to be very, very not indecisive. I'm not going to be stupid with my choices. You know, like, that's when the mental warfare of baseball starts to become like a huge aspect of the game. If you can make your opponent if you can get in your opponent's head, it's game over. Like, you've already got them rattled.
Now, one development that is probably going to make batters a lot more confident and less easy to rattle is something that a lot of MLB teams have been implementing in their warm-up bullpens, and it's called trajectech. And what it is is essentially it's an AI or computer generated algorithm of whatever pitcher the batter is expected to face. It watches him warm up, it watches his game footage, and it will make a pretty realistic simulation in the practice, like batting cages, of facing that pitcher.
Right. That's
It's
and
crazy.
that's like that's bringing a whole different aspect of hitting to the baseball. Like I've thought about an answer to this since like you brought it up to me, and like I can't get my mind fully wrapped around that concept, because it's like so far out there. Like, that is just to me that is mind-boggling that they have the technology to genuinely trace every single movement of a pitcher, throw it on a screen, put a ball pitch or pitch machine in front of that, and then he's just sitting there getting his timing down and everything. That is just it's mesmerizing. It really is. It changes the game.
Absolutely. I mean, the fact that it can go through and gauge what pitch he's likely to throw next based on some computer algorithm and his typical routine,
That's
like
crazy.
that AI is, dude, it's insane. Now, I did read the ESPN article about it, and one interesting note that a player made was that it might not be as accurate as it sounds because the machine will probably be better than the actual pitcher as far as where he wants the ball to go. It doesn't account for human
Right.
error, so you're not always going to get the great pitches that the batting cage will
Like
provide you.
there's movement on the balls. Like the pitchers are having to put on those balls. Like they're not just throwing it straight down the middle every pitch. They're moving. So yes, that makes so much sense.
You got sweat, you got rain, like you got all sorts of stuff that could make a minor difference in where the ball ends up going.
Right. It's like it's crazy that much of a difference or that much of movement on a ball can change the aspect of the whole count. Like even the first pitch, you're expecting right in the middle fastball, and it tails on you, and it's still a strike. You're like, okay, well, I wasn't ready for that one. So there's a lot that goes into it, like you were saying, picking up the human error and everything, and mispitching and missing your spots. Like, but it's still that aspect of seeing him in the windup and in the whatever. Like, it's still that aspect, and it makes sense. But I don't know. There's a lot of, I guess, work that would have to go into it to make it perfect. And obviously, nothing's going to be perfect. But to get it to almost like 99% perfection, then yeah, I'm sure it'll get there one day.
Yeah, well, they said that the teams are responsible for collecting their own data about it, so there's no data sharing. What would concern me if I'm a coach, there's no way I'm letting my pitchers practice out in the open on the field before the game.
No.
Like, that just can't happen anymore because any team with common sense will just put up a video camera and use those practice pitches to put into the trajectech system.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's just there's a lot of technology being put in the game of baseball that
Maybe Bill Belichick can get drafted or get picked to be an MLB coach. He's got some experience spying on opposing teams, right?
He knows how to do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, dude, it's legal now, so you can get in trouble for it.
That's crazy. I don't know. It's just the way baseball's going, the technology, and they're talking about bringing in robot umpires and stuff. That just, I don't know. It's the technology being put into it's crazy, but.
Okay, robot umpires, I would totally be on board with.
I would.
It wouldn't sit right from a visual standpoint because I love, seeing the guy behind home plate, like strike two or whatever. But, like, from an accuracy perspective, it probably would be a lot better.
Yeah, for sure. But that goes into the game, like we were just talking about, with the trajectory. It's like human error is a part of baseball. You have an umpire who misses calls, and I understand that, like, obviously, if he's missing 70% of the calls, then yeah, get him out of there and get somebody else in there. But it's just a part of the game. Like, there's just a history that comes with it,
But it's only a part of the game because previous eras didn't have the technology to correct it.
Yeah,
that's like whenever they brought in colored movies, somebody's saying, well, black and white, that's just how movies are supposed to be made.
Right.
Like.
You are right about that for sure. But it's like, I don't know. I feel like even back then, though, would they have really wanted? Like, would they have even wanted like an umpire that was a robot? Like, I don't think it has a fame.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you go back to like 1950 and some robot walks on the field, they'd probably start whacking it with their
Do you
bat.
think that?
I'd probably do that now in 2024 if you brought a robot
Yeah,
next.
do you think that the '95 Braves pitchers were like they thought about that kind of stuff? Like, do you think that they would even have cared if that was a thing back then? Like, I don't know. I just don't.
Well, think about it like this. Imagine if you go back to like the 20s and tried to make them wear a helmet.
Right.
Or a timepiece.
Like history of the game.
Yeah, they're like, what do I need that for?
Generations of baseball.
Yeah, it's a part of the game. You just gotta learn how to duck.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you can dodge the ball, you can dodge anything.
I mean, that's how you end up with like the Ray Chapman situation, unfortunately.
I don't know. It's just the generations of baseball have been so wild that like adding robots and stuff makes sense. Like, you know, like just how crazy.
No, what's gonna happen though when the robots start replacing the athletes?
Yeah, that's when it's like
imagine the day that robot UFC becomes a thing. Nobody will ever pay to watch two people fight.
About Conor McGregor anymore.
What's that movie? Real Steel.
Yeah,
we're just gonna be living out Real Steel in real life.
Jack Hoffman, is that his name? Something Hoffman. He played. That is. Yeah, Jack Human or something like that. But yeah, he was in that movie with the robots as boxers or whatever. That's what I would want to watch. I would love that. That would be sick. But to watch an umpire.
Dude, wouldn't that be crazy if AI took over all of like the very low paying menial jobs, but also the super high paying jobs too, and it's just the middle class people that got to keep their jobs?
Right, that would be like, what's going on here? Like,
yeah, it's like the middle class win for once. What's going on? This ain't right.
Are we winning right now? Holy crap! And then like the robots would attack all the middle class. It would be a low class robot, a high class robot, and that's all there is. No more humans.
Yeah, pretty much.
They got humans on leashes, dragging them around. Come here, puppy. It's like, dude, no.
Dude, yeah, it's gonna be like Wall-E. Yeah. All the middle class people are just gonna get super fat, sitting down to their lazy boys.
Yeah, that would be wild.
What a world we live in.
It would not surprise me one bit.
Now, on the topic of baseball, though, Shohei Ohtani has set a Dodgers record for 10 RBIs in a row, game-wise.
Yep.
That's pretty impressive.
It is, and like, he's absolutely killing it right now, you know? Like, he could possibly win an MVP again. He really has the opportunity to do that. Or definitely going to win a batting title. I mean, Marcell Ozuna is right there with him. Go Big Bear, but he's just doing something right now to the baseball that folks can't do. Like, even the average professional can't do. Like, that's what's mind-boggling. Is because obviously the average Joe is never going to be able to do that. But even your higher-up ball players, like some of the best in the business, they're not anywhere near that. And that's what's mind-boggling.
I think Shohei is going to be like the generational talent from the 20s.
Yeah, and then it'll
if he's not already.
It'll bring in a whole new wave of ball players. Like, dude, there's a kid in Japan who's coming and playing in America right now. He's coming to Stanford. We talked about not too long ago. He's already hitting bombs against like MLB pitchers and stuff like that with a wooden bat. Like, he's absolutely just killing the ball.
Have we talked about this before? I really wish that whoever wins the MLB World Series would actually like go play some of the champions from these foreign leagues,
Cool.
like the Japanese league or like the Puerto Rican league. Like, that would be so much fun to watch.
Yeah, that would be sick. Like, that would be, I don't know, and I feel like it would bring a lot more cultural. Like, I know baseball's full of culture already, but it would just.
Yeah, I mean, like, baseball's not in the Olympics.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, come on. And I know they have the World Baseball Cup or Classic and everything, but, like, still, I feel like there should be at least a week or a month out of the year at the end of the baseball season where top teams get together and, like, it's a big tournament.
Yeah, I mean, like, I thought the World Baseball Classic is a little bit different, though, But I think that slight difference makes a big difference because it's not the best team, it's the best players thrown together, and they don't really have chemistry. Like, to me, I would rather see how like the best team that knows how to be in sync together in the MLB plays against the best Japanese, the best Puerto Rican team.
That would be way more cooler. And I feel
Now,
like it needs to be more recurring rather than like every 4 years.
yeah, no, make it like an actual like yearly World Series,
like a World National Championship or something like that.
Yeah, pretty much. Like we're getting to the point where you can actually do that now.
But
the crazy thing is, and the reason MLB would never do it is they would not be the favorite. I don't think most times.
Because dude, you got to think about it. All these players from the MLB, a lot of them, yeah, they're from America, but most of them are being brought over from somewhere else, whether it's South America or Europe, or Asia. They're being brought over from other places. Mm-hmm. They're not born here anymore. Like, it's like there's so much like South American just love for the game that they've taken over. I feel like MLB is now more Latino than it is anything. And that's a great thing because they are.
Yeah, I mean the MLB right now is probably where the NBA is going to be at in 10 years.
For sure.
I mean, arguably you could say the NBA is already there. Do you think the NFL will ever get to that point?
I don't know because I want to say yes because it's funny that we're talking about this. I just saw this thing the other day where it's like, I don't know the age group. I want to say it's like 14U. But it was Japan and America playing American football. And Japan beat us 41-20. It's starting to Americans are losing their touch for things, and we definitely lost most of our sports that were born in America and they're not American made. I don't know, we're losing our touch, and that's what scares me.
Get after it. This generation of athletes.
That's what scares me.
We lost boxing decades ago.
The Olympics basketball team this year, that's what scares me. Is I'm afraid they're going to get over there and just try to mess around like they did with basketball.
No shot.
I don't know. I know that it's a different team and stuff, but it's just there's a lot of people from different countries now that are they're legit at everything, just as legit as America is. It's crazy.
Yeah, I would say right now with the Olympics, if you made a Team World versus Team USA would lose. But there's yet to be one country that has caught up to where the USA is at. Now, France, Germany, they're getting there.
Canada this year is insanely stacked. They have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Dylan Brooks. They have a few more cats that are legit ballers in the NBA this year. I'm telling you, there are more countries on the map than just USA this year, and that's what got me kind of I hope we got there and blow them out. Obviously, dude, USA, but reality and what I want are way two different things.
We'll have to wait and see. I'm excited though to start covering that. The Olympics starts this time next month, right?
Yeah, I believe so. But speaking of keeping on the topic of baseball and everything, dude, the power rankings. What do you think about the
They were
top
so stupid. How are you gonna put the Yankees number one when they've only won 3 of their last 10?
So they're stacked. They're really good. As an overall team this year,
I guess it depends on how you define a power ranking. Is it what are the hottest teams in baseball this week, or is it most likely to win the World Series as of this week?
That's how they're aiming these power stats. That's how it's been, or power rankings. It's been like that for a few years now. They're top heavy on who the world favorites are. Granted, their last 3 in their last.
I would say right now though, Cleveland and LA have been on a tear. Because they've both won 7 of their last 10, and they both have records that are equally as good as the Yankees. They're both over 50 wins already.
Cleveland's the one team this year that I had no idea that would happen. At the beginning of the season, I called the Orioles and I called the Phillies go to the World Series, and they're ranked 2 and 3 right now. So it's there's teams that you kind of figured that they would be there, but then you kind of figure where it's what are they doing there? Like, how are they there? You know, the Braves are like 9 or 8 right now, and it's like, dude, it's hard to dictate all that because there's so many games and anybody can get
Yeah.
hot in.
I don't know what it is, but the Phillies have just been the bane of the Braves' existence the last 2 or 3 years.
They added some good cats, man. They are a damn good ball club.
hmm Now, did you get a chance to catch any highlights from the Rickwood game?
A little bit, but I didn't really. Had everything going on last week. I didn't really have time to even sit down and watch it, and haven't really
Yeah.
caught up on it yet. But I heard it went really, really well. Really
Mhm.
good.
The Cardinals beat the Giants 6-5. I thought it was cool that they wore jerseys that represented the local Negro League teams from St. Louis and uh, San Francisco.
Yeah.
The Stars is who the Cardinals team was, and the Sea Lions were the Giants.
Yeah.
And it was also the first game in MLB history officiated by an all-black crew.
Right.
And on the whole, I think it'll be a really cool thing. Do you think it'll become an annual tradition for them, or?
I hope, because I really like the aspect and everything that they're doing with it, and it's really cool to bring in that, like, especially what we talked about a couple weeks ago with them, and like bringing in the Negro League staffs and stuff. I do feel as if that should be honored every year, and especially with Willie Mays passing away and everything, like it needs to be
Yeah.
It needs to be brought to light more. Truly, how much they changed the game and the narrative for the black players to be able to play now. They changed the game in so many ways that, yeah, you honor that every single year, and you have different teams every single year, but you keep the concept the same.
Now, when it comes to the teams that are in it, do you think it should be like the two that like? Do you think they should be selectively picked, or just like a random grab bag of teams? Like, it'd be cool if it was like a World Series matchup every year, so you had good attendance for it, or a World Series rematch.
Yeah, that would be really cool, and especially if they were affiliated really heavily with the Negro Leagues and all that. But I think that your first few years need to be heavily based on the teams that had a lot to do with the Negro Leagues and like the transition of all that. I think that would be really cool at first, and then like your concept of it would be really cool as well later on down the line. Make it like a whole thing where you play a 3-game series and it's a World Series rematch. People would pay out the butt for that.
See, my biggest fear, though, if they do make it a yearly thing, is that it will turn into what the Field of Dreams game was, where everybody was really excited and it hyped up to watch the first one, and then nobody got all that into it the more they kept doing it, and they've already quit doing it.
Just quit doing it, and yeah, that's true. And that would, I don't know, I think the Field of Dreams and Negro League Stadium and like that kind of stuff, they're two different concepts and aspects of.
I mean, yeah, obviously one is more important.
Field of Dreams were like it was too though. Like the Field of Dreams.
I mean, the first time they did that game, it was the most watched MLB game that wasn't a playoff game in like over a decade.
Right. So it put a stamp on the league that they made its mark on the game, but you have to hype it up and you have to market it and you have to go about it with the same concepts of the year before, but you got to go about it differently kind of every single year. You got to make it more exciting and you got to make the audience really want to watch that game. And I don't know who you got to put in there, how you make that happen, but that's just something that has to happen. The fans got to watch those teams play, more or less where it's at or the history behind it.
Yeah. I definitely think the MLB should continue to do the Negro League game as long as there are still players from that generation around. Like we saw Reggie Jackson talk on Fox before the game, and he told a very powerful story.
Yeah.
And as long as those old-timers are still there, I do think it is super important to remember them. Willie Mays was supposed to be there, and he passed away a couple days before the game. But he was supposed to be like the master of ceremonies for the game.
Yeah, they had a whole thing built around him and like all he had done for the whole league and stuff. So it was like I don't know. You're right, though. You have to have the historic parts there. You can't just have the field and all that kind of stuff. You have to have people to commemorate and remember at the same time.
Now, could you see any MLB teams that are currently playing in cities that had a prominent Negro League team change their name to what the Negro League team was named? That's the way to commemorate?
No, I don't think that'll ever happen. But, I mean, you could make it a game to where, like you're talking about, the teams that were really big into all that kind of stuff at the time, like maybe bring them back for just that series. If that's what you're saying, yes, I would do that if you're going to do that just for that game or just for that series.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't do it all year.
Yeah. I mean, how many Negro League teams can you think of? Because, like, the most prominent one that comes to mind for me is the Monarchs and the Clowns.
The Barons,
honestly,
like
the Barons.
Yeah, they're probably my number ones that I could think of, and the Monarchs, like you said. But other, like, it's never really been as big as it is.
Atlanta had the Atlanta Black Crackers. That was their team because that was back before the Braves.
Just the way the world works nowadays, I don't think that you could go around calling a team Black Crackers anymore and like people not take that.
You would think that, but the Braves actually changed their jerseys up a couple of years ago to honor that team. It said ABC on their jersey. It didn't say like the whole name.
And there's ways to go around it and stuff, obviously, but I don't know. Like, I would love for that to happen. Like especially if they're gonna do it for the whole series. If they made a series out of it rather than just one night, that would be really cool.
Yeah. No, I mean, shoot. If the Kansas City Royals though wanted to change their name to the Monarchs, I could get down for that.
That would be cool.
Because the Monarchs sounds a lot cooler than the Royals, and the Royals are a pretty mid franchise, honestly. So it's not like they have. Maybe they do. I'm not from Kansas City, but as far as mainstream attention goes, it's not like the Yankees changing their names or anything like that.
100%.
And shoot, Birmingham doesn't even have a pro team for them to adopt.
Exactly.
Alabama needs to get cracking on that.
Yeah, they do. Quick. That they could take that over and run with it pretty well.
Hey, if the Braves ever get in trouble for their team name and have to change it, maybe they could bring back the Crackers.
Yeah, right. That'd be wild.
Dude, could you imagine that? If it's like, all right, we get it, our team name was offensive, here's the new one. And everybody is just like, that is not what we had in mind.
Right, that's not what we needed to do.
You somehow managed to make it worse.
Definitely. That would just bring everybody in to make them be like, "You sure that's what we should do? Is this really something we should do?" Yeah, that would be wild.
Now, one last thing to touch on before we wrap up is there were two big debuts in WWE last week. One was Jacob Fatu, who is a cousin of Roman Reigns and The Rock, and all those boys came in, joined the Bloodline, beat up Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, and Kevin Owens. He jumped off the top rope through the announce table and put Cody Rhodes through it. Yeah. So he got off to a big start. Drew McIntyre bloodied up CM Punk and sent him to a hospital at the end of the show. And it's not often that you see blood in WWE these days. So for them to decide to let CM Punk blade for this feud he's got going on means I bet they're going to have an epic hardcore match at SummerSlam.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think, SummerSlam, like these rivalries and all this stuff that's building up now. It's going to prevail itself, and it's going to be one of the best SummerSlams we've had in a long time.
They already announced that SummerSlam is going to be a 2-night thing like WrestleMania is now. So they're going to go all in, and I can't wait for SummerSlam. But we've got Money in the Bank this weekend first, and who knows how that's going to go.
Yeah.
But also, the Wyatt Six. What?
Money in the Bank's this weekend?
Is it this weekend or next? It's one of the two, but it's coming up. I think what's going to happen with Money in the Bank is so CM Punk. Okay, Money in the Bank's July 6th, so it's next weekend.
Yeah.
But just a week, 2 weeks out, my predictions for that is Drew McIntyre has said if he wins Money in the Bank because he's in the match, he's going to cash in that same night and try to beat Damian Priest to become champ. I think they're going to start off the show with the men's Money in the Bank match, have Drew McIntyre win, and CM Punk is going to cost him the WWE title for a third time when he tries to cash in at the end of the show.
I can see that happening, 100%.
So,
is there something about doing Drew McIntyre dirty as all get out? Like, I don't understand.
Dude, like, it's been hilarious just watching him troll Drew. We saw it live at WrestleMania a couple weeks back in Scotland in front of Drew's home country. I don't know if you saw it on social media, but essentially they did one of those spots where the ref gets knocked down, and then Drew hits his finisher, but nobody can count the pin, and then you just see somebody run down with the referee shirt on, count the 2, and then he stops, and Drew McIntyre looks up like, "Why'd you stop counting?" And you see CM Punk in a referee shirt, and he just hits him with like the peace sign. And it's just hilarious.
Yeah, that was a golden clip. Like that was golden. I got to see that, and I was like, dude, that's awesome. I feel bad for Drew McIntyre, obviously, but that's awesome.
And then the Wyatt Six debuted last week and made a big impact. You know, the end of the show, pretty much everybody got knocked out mysteriously. And the promo that Bo Dallas cut on Raw this week is one of the best, deepest promos I've heard cut on WWE television in a long time. They were straight up just like, so for those of you who don't know, Bo Dallas is Bray Wyatt's brother, and before Bray Wyatt died, they had plans for him to start a new version of the Wyatt family with this guy named Uncle Howdy as like his new partner. And Uncle Howdy, the character, was going to be played by Bo Dallas, Bray Wyatt's brother. And then Bray died. So those plans got canceled. But now they decided to go ahead with part of that story. And so you have Bo Dallas playing Uncle Howdy on TV. And in the promo segment on Raw, the first question, they did a little split screen where Bo Dallas is like crazy and like talking to himself in the mirror. And Uncle Howdy asked him like, how did it feel when your brother died? Mm-hmm. And do you feel like you're exploiting your brother's legacy? And it was just like, it got really dark. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
And anybody, it's only a 4-minute clip. Like, check it out on YouTube. Like, it was cool.
I saw it. I got to see that as well. And I watched that little clip, and I was like, sitting there like, whoa.
See, to me, that is when wrestling is at its best. When it takes elements of real life and finds a way to incorporate it into the story. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't ask for more than that, because there are a lot of people who are going to think that Bo Dallas running around as the Wyatt family is him just piggybacking off of what his brother did and trying to make some money off of Bray's legacy. So to go ahead and kind of get out in front of that criticism and wrap it into the story, I think
that's absolutely huge, not only for the program, but for how to make his legacy bright and live on. I really think I like that a lot. I love how they're doing it.
I mean, it's fantastic. I can't wait to see how that story plays out. And, dude, I can't wait to see Roman Reigns come back, because all this bloodline stuff going on, like, it's just got me excited to see what happens when the head of the table comes back and finds his seat taken by Solo Sikoa.
That's going to be crazy. There's going to be a lot of beef, I feel like.
And we'll be here to cover it when it gets there. So that being said, we'll sign off for this week. Good seeing you. I can't wait to see all the social media fallout from Money.
I know. Since we've been recording, I've already got like 7 notifications about it. So I'm going to go through every day and start reading up on it. But I will catch you at 6:30 or 6 o'clock next Tuesday.
I'll catch you, man.
Have a good one, my guy. See you, buddy.